The Sega Saturn's library is incredible! Released in the mid-90s, the Saturn may not have achieved the commercial success of its contemporaries, but it carved out a unique and enduring legacy among Sega fans. Often overshadowed by the titanic battles between Sony's PlayStation and Nintendo's cartridge-based N64, the Saturn in its own right became a haven for innovative and eclectic titles that pushed the boundaries of gaming during its era. Today, not only shall we go back and look at some of the most beloved exclusives that defined the Sega Saturn experience, but also their incredible overlooked sequels which can be found on alternate platforms. There is far much more to the legacy of the Saturn than merely the hardware itself, so let's look at where some of the franchises went that were born on this superb system. I am Lady Decade, and these are some excellent Saturn exclusives and their sequels that time forgot. Panzer Dragoon Saga is one of the most coveted and desirable titles Saturn collectors aspire to add to their collection. It was the Saturn's answer in quality to Final Fantasy VII and was set in a post-apocalyptic world where it follows a protagonist Edge on his journey alongside the enigmatic Azel and her dragon as they uncover ancient mysteries. The game is well known for its impressive 3D graphics, captivating narrative and atmospheric soundtrack that explores themes of ancient technology and environmental devastation. Despite its limited production and late release in the Saturn's life cycle, Panzer Dragoon Saga has garnered a devoted following and is regarded as a standout RPG of its time that gets praise for its ability to push the Saturn's boundaries. No RPG has a battle system and atmosphere quite like this one. But before we even got to that, the brand successfully established itself with Panzer Dragoon and Panzer Dragoon Zwei, two absolutely excellent Star Fox style rail shooters that play completely differently to the JRPG that followed them. Developed by Team Andromeda and published by Sega, in these players control a character riding a dragon where you get to shoot down enemies and obstacles. Like Saga, the pair of games are set in a post-apocalyptic world with a distinctive art style blending organic and mechanical designs. These titles' innovative gameplay, memorable aesthetic and critical acclaim solidify their status as standout titles, but Panzer Dragoon's legacy stretches far beyond the Saturn, so let's look at some of the other entries from the series. Panzer Dragoon Mini is a unique and largely forgotten entry in the Panzer Dragoon series, released exclusively for the Sega Game Gear in Japan. Unlike its 3D predecessors, Mini is a third-person rail shooter similar to Space Harrier and features a chibi art style targeting a younger audience. This 8-bit game stands out as the only title in the series where the dragon does not have a rider. It's a curiosity to say the least. Players control the dragon using the D-pad to move the targeting reticule and can shoot or lock onto targets using the buttons. The game offers 3 dragons to choose from and 3 difficulty levels: easy, normal and hard. It includes stages that feature shooting segments, mini-boss fights and unique boss battles, with the dragon's health being restored at the start of each stage, but no healing power-ups available during gameplay. A password system allows players to continue from the current or previously completed stages, with some enemy designs and musical themes inspired by Panzer Dragoon and Panzer Dragoon Zwei. This one is not particularly interesting, but I do appreciate the novelty of a Game Gear game being based on a Saturn title rather than an 8 or 16-bit console game. Now let's go really weird. Tiger Electronics developed another Panzer Dragoon game in the 1990s as an LCD title that could be experienced and available in 2 formats. This meant it could be played on a standalone handheld as part of the Pocket Arcade line or on a cartridge for the ludicrous R-Zone. These versions are distinct games with different graphics and gameplay elements, causing some confusion over the years. For example, the R-Zone version features 6 life bar lines and 3 radar dots per quadrant, while the Pocket Arcade version has 3 health bars and 2 radar dots. The second level boss and background graphics also differ, with the R-Zone displaying a cave and the Pocket Arcade showing the same blocks across all levels. But these function more as historical artifacts rather than games you would actually want to play, so let's move on to something a little bit more playable. Panzer Dragoon Orta is a rail shooter game for the Xbox, developed by Smilebit and published by Sega. Released in Japan in 2002 and in North America and Europe in 2003, it is the fourth home console game in the Panzer Dragoon series. It follows the story of a girl named Orta who is rescued by a dragon and sets out to stop the misuse of ancient technology. The gameplay involves guiding an aiming reticule to shoot enemies while the dragon flies along a predetermined path through 3D environments. The game spans 10 levels with varying environments and bosses. Players control Orta and her dragon, navigating levels using a movable aiming reticule. While paths are predetermined, alternate routes can be unlocked through in-game actions. The game features a 360-degree field of view, allowing players to target enemies from all directions. Orta uses a blaster for free aim mode, and the dragon employs a lock-on attack, with both attacks having no ammunition limit. The berserk attack deals high damage and makes the dragon temporarily invulnerable. The dragon can morph between three forms: base wing, heavy wing, and glide wing, each with unique abilities and attack modes. Fully destroying enemy waves grants gene-based resources to upgrade the dragon's attributes. The story unfolds through CGI and real-time cutscenes with dialogue in the fictional Panzer Dragoon language. At the end of each level, players are scored based on performance, and a game over forces a restart from the beginning of a level or boss stage. Completing the main campaign unlocks Pandora's Box, an extras menu containing an encyclopedia, bestiary, concept art, story cutscenes, and a port of the original Panzer Dragoon. Additional chapters focusing on different characters are also included, providing short gameplay clips and visual novel segments. The game is just as good as the rail shooters available on the Saturn, however many believe this entry to be significantly harder, so you might want to practice with the others first. While the original Panzer Dragoon game remained a Saturn exclusive for decades, a remake of the game was developed by Megapixel Studio and published by Forever Entertainment, released in March 2020 for the Nintendo Switch, with subsequent releases on the Stadia, Windows, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Amazon Luna later that year. The remake features updated graphics and an optional new control system that allows players to aim independently of moving using a second control stick. Despite having shinier graphics, the title is essentially the original classic with a new coat of paint. However, do you know what's really cool? I can get you 87% discount on this title, reducing the price to an insanely low $3.01. Use my affiliate link to get up to 90% off thousands of titles, save a lot of money, and support my work all simultaneously. Be bold, be bougie, and happy economical binge shopping. Now, on with the video. When it comes to Saturn exclusives, a few stand out more than the absolutely incredible Guardian Heroes, a classic brawler role-playing game developed by Treasure for the platform. We might not have got a new Streets of Rage or a traditional Golden Axe for the platform, but this kind of makes up for it. Combining side-scrolling beat-em-up action with RPG elements, the game is an all-time great that offers players a rich gameplay experience. Full of diverse characters who you can level up, and making choices that impact the game's branching narrative provides you with more freedom than most of this game. What helps make this one so memorable is of course its visually impressive 2D graphics and animated backgrounds. This contributes to its timeless appeal. Just like the classic brawlers on the Mega Drive before it, Guardian Heroes features a cooperative multiplayer mode, enhancing its allure, and I am just thankful we picked this one up back when it was cheaper. While a follow-up Guardian Heroes on the Sega Saturn hardware never arrived, the game's legacy continued with a largely forgotten sequel. 2004 saw the release of Advance Guardian Heroes, a game that brought the beloved action RPG mechanics to the Game Boy Advance, introducing new characters and storylines while retaining the core elements that made the original so special. The game, a side-scrolling beat-em-up, once again allows players to perform a variety of physical and magical attacks. Physical maneuvers include countering and mid-air dashes, while magical attacks, which consume the MP meter, feature elemental spells and protective barriers. Additionally, players can enter hyper mode, creating a faster, more powerful version of their character, which acts almost like an overdrive or limit break when the character reaches a certain level of anger. Another highly interesting quirk of the game is that if the character you're controlling dies, a sinister figure offers invincibility in exchange for the character's soul. Refusing results in a game over with the promise of another chance, whereas accepting revives the character in Devil mode, providing 6 minutes of invincibility before the sinister figure destroys you, leading to a game over. The game is divided into numerous stages and sub-stages, each featuring unique enemies, boss fights and puzzles. Available gameplay modes include Story mode for up to 2 players, Versus and Training. The story picks up after the events of the original Guardian Heroes. Following the return of the undead hero to his rest, the remaining heroes were offered the opportunity to become the Sky Spirit's perfect warriors. This offer divided the group. Some chose to join the Sky Spirit, while some declined. Another member escaped back to Earth. Years pass and the main antagonist from the original game, Xur, makes a return. He resurrects Canon and harnesses the power of the Guardian Heroes to conquer the world. In response, the remnants of the Resistance call upon the undead hero's power once more. A young soldier sacrifices his body to become the new vessel for the undead hero, ready to fight against the new tyranny. The story of Advanced Guardian Heroes is a tale of loyalty, betrayal, and the relentless pursuit of power. It explores themes of sacrifice and unity as the characters navigate complex alliances and confront their destinies in a battle for the world's future. That's a lot of game for a tiny GBA cartridge. In terms of quality, sadly, in my heart of hearts, I do not believe this one is close to as good as its predecessor on the Saturn. That doesn't mean, however, that there isn't still a lot to love about this game, with it perhaps being a bit more ignored than it should be. Later in 2011, the original Guardian Heroes found new life on the Xbox Live Arcade, where it was remastered for a modern audience, featuring enhanced graphics and online multiplayer. Some of the graphical updates include the aspect ratio, which was reformatted to 16:9, a choice between the original and remix graphics, which both have HD graphics and a new user interface, as well as other enhancements such as pencil shade effects on the sprites. Players can select between the original gameplay mechanics and a remix mode that introduces various changes. While the remix mode does not alter level design or content, it modifies controls and mechanics inspired by Treasure's fighting game Bleach: The Blade of Fate. These changes include new attacking and dodging controls, air dashing and air recoveries. The script for story mode has been rewritten, featuring updated dialogue and renaming the Earth and Sky Spirits to Earthblood and Skyborn respectively. The remaster of Guardian Heroes includes several enhancements to multiplayer modes, such as online play, which broadens the game's accessibility and player base. The competitive mode has been expanded to support up to 12 players, doubling the original limit of 6. Additionally, a new arcade mode offers an endless survival gauntlet for players seeking continuous action and challenge. Despite the Saturn's death, the game ensured that the spirit of Guardian Heroes lived on, delighting both longtime fans and new players alike. Nights into Dreams, a game that is so great that even Shigeru Miyamoto had stated that he wished that he had created it. Developed by the Sonic team under the leadership of shady old Yuji Naka, the game follows protagonists Clarice and Elliot as they enter the dream world of Nightopia to save it from the malevolent Wiseman. Players control Knight, a super cute jester-like character, utilising its flight and acrobatic abilities. The game's captivating visuals, colourful aesthetic and a remarkable soundtrack result in a dreamlike gaming experience. Nights into Dreams has gone down in history as one of the finest games in the Saturn's library. However, of course, today's video is focused on the games that followed the hardware's demise, so let me turn your attention to this. Although we didn't get a follow-up to this game on Saturn hardware, the spirit of Knights lived on a Nintendo platform of all places. Knights Journey of Dreams for the Wii, released in 2007, continued the enchanting adventure with new characters and gameplay mechanics. Knights Journey of Dreams is divided into 7 levels, with 3 unique to each child character, Will and Helen, and a shared final boss stage. The gameplay focuses on controlling Knight's flight along a predetermined route. Player start as Will or Helen, collecting items and avoiding awakers on foot, before transforming into Knights to fly through rings and capture bird-like Nightmaren. The goal is to unlock 3 cages per level within a set time, with collisions and time constraints adding to the challenge. Various items and traps influence the player's progress, and persona masks grant new abilities by transforming Knights into different entities like dolphins, rockets, or dragons. The game also features an artificial life system called My Dream, where players raise Nightopians and track their moods, influenced by the Wii's forecast channel. My Dream environments change based on the population of Nightopians versus Nightmarans, and offers seasonal cosmetics changes. Journey of Dreams supports 4 control options, including the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, and features 2 multiplayer modes: Battle Mode for local split-screen battles, and Speed Mode for online races via Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. Sadly, although designed with the Wiimote in mind, you will have a smoother experience with this one using a classic or GameCube controller, but personally I think this game is better than many give it credit for. But more Knights goodness can be experienced away from the Saturn and Wii. After the fall of the Sega Saturn, a few years later, Knights into Dreams appeared on the PS2 in Japan in 2008. This brought the original game to a modern audience with remastered graphics, ensuring that a new generation of gamers could experience the magic of Knights into Dream World. Some later re-releases would also include a 16:9 widescreen support, an illustration gallery, and the option to play with classic Saturn graphics. A high-definition remaster of this game was released for PlayStation Network and Xbox Live Arcade in 2012, and also for Windows via Steam in December 2012. The HD remaster includes online score leaderboards, enhanced or original graphics options, and Christmas nights, but it excludes the 2-player mode and Sonic the Hedgehog level. Who could ever forget the damn right insane yet excellent Die Hard Arcade? A game which, as you likely already know, is nothing like Die Hard, because it was not marketed as a Die Hard game at all in Japan and was simply a police title known as Dynamite Cop. In this 3D beat-em-up produced by Golden Axe lead developer Makoto Uchida, players can choose to be either John McClane or Chris Thompson, fighting 3 waves of enemies to rescue the president's daughter from terrorists. This campy, ridiculous brawler features plenty of hilarious environmental interactions, multiple endings, cooperative play, cinematic presentations, challenging boss battles, and quick time events. All in all, you can get tons of replay value from this cult favourite, always making you want to come back for more. But while you might all know about this amazing brawler, some of what followed is far more obscure, especially the final entry in the series. Dynamite Cop, known in Japan as Dynamite Cop 2, is a 1998 beat-em-up video game published by Sega. Initially released in arcades on Sega Model 2 hardware, it is a sequel to Dynamite Cop. The game was later ported to the Dreamcast and released internationally in 1999 without the Die Hard license. A second sequel, Asian Dynamite, was released exclusively in arcades. In Dynamite Cop, up to 2 players can choose to play as Bruno Dellinger, Gene Ivy, or Eddie Brown. The game involves fighting through levels on a cruise ship and a deserted island to rescue the president's daughter from modern-day pirates led by Wolf Whitefang Hongo, the main antagonist from the first first game. The levels are filled with a variety of enemies, destructible environments, and numerous weapons and items that can be picked up and used in combat. The gameplay features a mix of hand-to-hand combat and weapon-based fighting, with players able to pick up and use a wide array of objects from guns and melee weapons to bizarre items like fish and cooking utensils. Each character has unique moves and abilities, adding to the replay value. The Dreamcast version includes the classic Sega arcade game Tranquilizer Gun as a bonus, which becomes available for unlimited play upon clearing all missions. This version also features enhanced graphics and improved performance compared to the arcade version. Dynamite Cop is known for its over-the-top action, humorous elements and cooperative gameplay, making it a beloved title among beat-em-up enthusiasts. Its combination of engaging combat, interactive environments and varied gameplay has earned it a lasting legacy in the genre. Despite the absence of the die-hard license in international versions, the game retains its intense, action-packed spirit and continues to be fondly remembered by fans, but it's what came next that seems to be much more forgotten. Asian Dynamite, known as Dynamite Deca EX Asian Dynamite in Japan, is a Sega Naomi arcade beat-em-up game and a direct sequel to Dynamite Deca. Released in 2007, the game, which has never been ported to home platforms or released in the US, features gameplay similar to Dynamite Cop, but with an updated Asian aesthetic. Players can choose to play as either Caroline Powell, who is the president's daughter from the first game, now grown up, or Jennifer Genuine. The game takes players through various action-packed levels set in different Asian-themed environments. The gameplay retains the classic beat-em-up mechanics, including hand-to-hand combat, environmental interactions, and weapon usage. It also introduces new enemy types and challenging boss battles, providing a fresh experience while maintaining the core elements that fans of the series love. Despite its popularity, Asian Dynamite remained an arcade exclusive and did not see a home console release, limiting its availability to arcade enthusiasts. Sega Logistics Service ended support for the arcade machines on the 31st of March 2017, marking the end of its official arcade presence. The game's unique blend of familiar mechanics with new characters and settings made it a notable entry in the Dynamite Deca series, and it continues to be cherished by fans of the beat-em-up genre. It's such a weird game, but an awesome footnote in the legacy of the Sega Saturn. Remember, you can use my affiliate link via the pinned comment to get up to 90% off thousands of titles, save a lot of money and support my work simultaneously.